The movie begins with a massive adrenaline rush as a team of FBI agents raids the headquarters of a dangerous cartel known for kidnapping illegal immigrants. The tactical team breaches the house, securing the area and arresting most of the gang members. Agent Kate Macer pushes forward, clearing a back room. Suddenly, a hidden cartel member opens fire on her. With no other choice, Kate returns fire, killing him instantly. As she catches her breath, she and her partner Reggie notice something strange, a hollow opening in the drywall. They quickly smash the wall open, only to make a horrifying discovery: 2 rotting corpses with plastic bags tied over their heads. Shortly after the raid is secured, a military commander arrives on the scene. The situation escalates from a rescue mission to a nightmare when they uncover that the walls of the house contain more than 30 dead bodies, all bound and suffocated with plastic bags. The commander speaks with Kate, and she informs him that the cartel boss running this specific area is a man named Manuel Diaz. Unfortunately, they missed him. Manuel was nowhere near the property during the raid. While they are discussing the grim discovery, soldiers sweeping the perimeter find a small wooden shed outside. It has a trap door secured with a heavy padlock. As a team attempts to break the lock, the shed detonates in a massive, booby-trapped explosion, instantly killing several officers. The devastating incident makes national headlines, with the media pointing out that the police are still entirely unable to capture Manuel Diaz. Back at FBI headquarters, high-ranking officials hold a meeting to discuss Agent Kate. They praise her exceptional competence and her flawless track record in previous missions. She is summoned to a briefing room where her superiors lay out the truth. Manuel Diaz is a high-ranking lieutenant for a brutal syndicate known as the Sonora Cartel. He works closely with his brother, Guillermo, and his cousin, the ultimate leader of the cartel, Fausto. Because of the escalating violence, the highest levels of government have ordered the creation of a joint task force, combining top FBI agents and elite military operatives to hunt down Manuel, his brother, and his cousin by any means necessary. Kate is selected to be the sole FBI representative on this Black Ops task force. She is introduced to 2 Department of Defense military consultants leading the charge, Matt Graver and Alejandro. Kate agrees to the assignment and heads out to meet Matt, boarding a private military plane bound for the team's staging area. During the flight, the mysterious Alejandro approaches her and formally introduces himself. They fly into El Paso, Texas, right on the edge of the U.S.-Mexico border. Upon arrival, Kate attends a tactical briefing with heavily armed team members. They discuss potential raid locations to hunt down the Sonora cartel. After the meeting, a confused Kate confronts Alejandro. She bluntly tells him that she doesn't understand why she was brought along. She knows the Sonora cartel operates strictly inside Mexico, while her FBI jurisdiction is limited to the United States. Furthermore, she tells Alejandro that she doesn't buy his story about being a military general, as she has never heard of him in any official capacity. Alejandro interrupts her, speaking with an unsettling calmness. He tells her that he expects her to doubt everything that is happening, and while she won't understand anything right now, everything will make perfect sense in due time. Then, he simply walks away. Still seeking answers, Kate corners Matt. She shares her deep suspicions about Alejandro, insisting he doesn't act like a regular soldier. She demands to know the real reason she was brought here. Matt quickly shuts her down, ordering her not to interfere in matters that don't concern her. He plainly states that Manuel and the Sonora gang are operating in Mexico, and the team's singular objective is to capture him, dead or alive. Her suspicions only grow as she gets into a vehicle with Matt. The task force rolls out in a heavily armed military convoy, crossing the border into Juarez, Mexico, a city infamous for being entirely controlled by ruthless cartels. During the tense drive through Juarez, the soldier driving Kate's vehicle shares a dark piece of local history. He explains that the city's reputation is so dangerous that, in the past, criminals even managed to infiltrate the heavy security detail of a visiting president, proving that no one is truly safe here. The convoy finally reaches a black site prison where local forces are holding a Sonora cartel member. To Kate's surprise, the prisoner is Guillermo, Manuel's brother. The team extracts him, loading him into their vehicle to transport him back to the U.S. base for enhanced interrogation. The return trip is where things go horribly wrong. As they reach the border crossing between Mexico and the U.S., they get trapped in massive gridlock traffic. The team's spotters notice suspicious vehicles boxing them in, filled with heavily armed, tattooed young men. They quickly realize these are Sonora hitmen sent to rescue Guillermo or silence him. Matt immediately orders his men to ready their weapons and maintain a perimeter. He gives a strict command. If the cartel members step out of their cars, the team will engage. Suddenly, a cartel gunman steps out with a weapon. Matt and his elite operators instantly surround the hitmen, screaming at them to surrender. When the cartel members refuse and raise their weapons, Matt's team opens fire, mercilessly gunning them all down in the middle of the crowded border bridge. Still inside her vehicle, Kate is in a state of shock. Matt had a clear chance to arrest the men, but instead he chose to execute them in a public area filled with innocent civilians. By sheer instinct, Kate glances in her side mirror and sees a surviving gunman creeping up on her car. She shouts a warning before shooting him dead. Furious, Kate scolds Matt, yelling that his actions are completely illegal and that sparking a firefight among civilians is a massive violation of protocol. She tells him she knows there is a dark secret here that she isn't privy to. Matt coldly brushes her off, stating that this is an official mission and her only job is to follow orders without asking questions. Safely back at the U.S. base, Matt wastes no time interrogating Guillermo. He demands to know Manuel's exact location, but Guillermo defiantly refuses to talk, bragging that Manuel is untouchable and will eventually come to rescue him. Meanwhile, Alejandro steps away to make a phone call to a local contact. He learns a crucial piece of intel. There is a secret tunnel hidden in the city, and rumors suggest Manuel uses it to smuggle illegal immigrants and drugs into the U.S. Alejandro notes that Manuel is far too smart to hang around smuggled migrants due to the risk of police informants, but he decides the tunnel is worth investigating. It becomes increasingly clear that Alejandro has a deeply personal, unknown motive for finding Manuel. He grabs a large jug of water, walks into Guillermo's interrogation room, and prepares to ruthlessly torture the cartel brother until he gives up the tunnel's location. While Alejandro works on Guillermo, another team member approaches Kate. He points out to the horizon, showing her multiple explosions echoing across the Mexican border. He explains that Manuel ordered his men to set off these bombs as a violent distraction, forcing the local Mexican police to intervene and pull their attention away from the cartel's real operations. Later, Kate meets up with her partner Reggie. They get into a car with Matt and Alejandro and head out to the border, where Border Patrol agents have detained a group of illegal immigrants. Alejandro steps up and begins questioning the terrified migrants about Manuel's secret tunnel, but they remain dead silent, paralyzed by their fear of the cartel boss. Frustrated by the secrecy, Reggie finally snaps. He confronts Matt and Alejandro, demanding that they explain the entire operation to him and Kate immediately, threatening to pack up and return to America if they refuse. Forced to compromise, Matt explains the grand strategy. They have intel on a heavily guarded drug and human trafficking tunnel controlled by Manuel. The team's goal isn't just to stop the tunnel. They want to create so much chaos and financial damage to Manuel's operations that he will be forced to panic, leave his hiding spot, and meet directly with his ultimate boss, Fausto. The next morning, Kate does her own digging. She researches Mexican smuggling tunnels online and discovers a horrifying truth. The Sonora cartel routinely murders most of their illegal immigrants right after using them as drug mules. She shares this with Reggie, who strongly warns her not to trust Matt and Alejandro. He feels certain they are hiding a massive illegal conspiracy. Kate agrees, admitting she feels the exact same way. They go to confront the two men and find them interrogating a new group of immigrants. Finally, the pressure works, and the migrants reveal the exact location of Manuel's tunnel. With the location secured, Matt puts the next phase of his plan into motion. He wants to completely freeze Manuel's bank accounts. By cutting off his money, Matt hopes to force Manuel to travel back to Mexico through his own tunnels to explain the massive financial loss to his boss, Fausto. Tracking the cartel's finances, Matt monitors bank surveillance cameras and spots a woman attempting to deposit cash into Manuel's accounts. He immediately orders Reggie and another agent to intercept her. They arrest the woman and her male companion, confiscating a bag packed with cash secured by distinct specific rubber bands used exclusively by the cartel. Seeing an opening, Kate decides to take legal action. She marches toward the bank to speak with the manager and demand Manuel's financial records. Matt tries desperately to stop her, warning her that the cartel heavily monitors the bank and that she will be spotted. Ignoring his warnings, Kate walks in, flashes her badge, and forces the nervous bank manager to pull up the accounts. She uncovers a massive money laundering scheme. The cartel has been sending people every single day to deposit small increments of $9,000 to avoid IRS detection, amassing a staggering $119 million in the account. The bank manager is sweating, clearly complicit. Kate proudly returns to Matt, telling him she has the evidence to legally freeze the accounts, but Matt is furious. He tells her she just made a fatal mistake. Because the cartel employs corrupt local police who monitor the bank, they have definitely taken her picture. As they speak, those pictures are being sent directly to Manuel, who will inevitably issue a hit on her life. Matt's plan works flawlessly. In his luxurious villa, Manuel receives a panicked phone call informing him that his accounts have been frozen. Holding one of the cartel's signature rubber bands in his hand, a shocked Manuel realizes he is trapped and must figure out his next move. Meanwhile, Kate is at her breaking point. She contacts her FBI superior, laying out all of Matt and Alejandro's illegal, off-the-books tactics, demanding that her FBI agents be pulled from the task force before they trigger an international incident. Her boss shuts her down completely. He reveals that Matt is a high-level Department of Defense advisor, and this entire shadow war has been secretly approved by top politicians in the U.S. and the Mexican government, all of whom just want the Sonora cartel wiped off the map. He orders her to fall in line. Feeling defeated, Kate goes to a local bar with Reggie to blow off some steam. There, a charming local police officer named Ted approaches her. They share a few drinks, dance, and a clear attraction builds. Ted invites her back to his apartment. Things get heavy, but as they are kissing, Kate's eyes lock onto a terrifying detail on Ted's counter, the exact same specific rubber bands used by Manuel's money launderers. Ted is a dirty cop on the cartel's payroll. Realizing she is in a trap, Kate lunges for her gun, but Ted is too fast. A brutal fight ensues. He disarms her, pins her to the floor, and begins strangling the life out of her. Just as her vision starts to fade, the door kicks open. Alejandro storms in, presses a gun to Ted's head, and saves Kate's life. Matt arrives shortly after. He casually explains to a traumatized Kate that he knew she was a target ever since she walked into that bank. He intentionally let her go to the bar, knowing Manuel's hitmen would try to lure her out, using her as live bait to catch a dirty cop. Outside, Reggie is disgusted and heartbroken that his fellow officer was working for the cartel. Inside, Matt and Alejandro brutally beat Ted. Matt gives the corrupt cop a dark ultimatum. If he doesn't write down the names of every single corrupt officer working for Manuel, Matt will leak Ted's home address to the cartel, ensuring his wife and daughter are slaughtered. Terrified, Ted gives up the names. The next morning, the endgame begins. The task force gears up to assault the secret tunnel. Matt stops Kate and Reggie, ordering them to stay in the rear vehicles and not to enter the tunnel under any circumstances. Kate finally snaps, demanding to know why Matt dragged them to Mexico if he never wanted them to fight. Matt finally tells her the cold, bureaucratic truth. The CIA is legally prohibited from operating on domestic American soil. The only way Matt's team could act within the U.S. was to have a domestic agency attached to the mission. Kate wasn't brought in for her skills. She was brought in to be a human rubber stamp, a legal cover for their assassinations. Refusing to be sidelined, Kate and Reggie gear up anyway. They push into the tunnel, engaging in a chaotic, claustrophobic firefight with cartel smugglers in the pitch black. Amidst the chaos, Alejandro breaks off from the main group. He navigates to the Mexican side of the tunnel, emerging into an old warehouse. There, he finds a corrupt Mexican state police officer named Silvio, who is busy loading cartel drugs into his police cruiser. Alejandro shoots a nearby smuggler, takes Silvio hostage at gunpoint, and commands him to drive. Kate catches up, emerging from the tunnel just in time to see Alejandro hijacking the police car. She aims her weapon and orders him to surrender, still not believing he is a legitimate operator. Alejandro turns and, without hesitation, shoots Kate squarely in her bulletproof vest. The impact knocks her flat on her back, gasping for air. He coldly advises her to stay out of things that don't concern her, gets into the police cruiser, and speeds off into the Mexican night. With Silvio at the wheel, Alejandro tracks down Manuel Diaz's sleek car as it heads toward the cartel boss's estate. They pull Manuel over. Alejandro moves with terrifying speed, executing Manuel's armed guards. He throws a bleeding Manuel into the car, pressing a gun to his head, and forces the terrified lieutenant to guide them through the final security checkpoints of Fausto's heavily guarded mansion. Upon reaching the estate, Alejandro executes Manuel and begins a one-man assault on the compound. Moving like a ghost, he silently kills every guard in his path until he reaches the outdoor dining pavilion. There, he finds the ultimate target, Fausto Alarcon, the head of the Sonora cartel, eating dinner with his wife and 2 teenage sons. Alejandro raises his weapon, ordering the family to freeze. Fausto tries to remain calm, asking Alejandro to spare his family and let them walk away. But Alejandro isn't here on official business. This is a deeply personal vendetta. He reminds Fausto of the past, how Fausto mercilessly ordered the cartel to kidnap Alejandro's wife and daughter, murdering them right in front of him. Fausto tries to justify it as just cartel business, claiming Alejandro is no different than him. Alejandro smirks, staring dead into the eyes of the man who destroyed his life. He simply says, "Time to meet God." In a brutal act of psychological and physical revenge, Alejandro shoots Fausto's wife, then his sons, forcing the cartel boss to watch his family die, just as Alejandro did. Finally, he puts a bullet in Fausto, completing his long-awaited vengeance. The next day, the dust has settled back in America. Alejandro quietly picks the lock to Kate's apartment and waits for her on the balcony. When she sees him, he tells her softly that she reminds him of the daughter Fausto took from him. He then places a printed document on her table, a waiver stating that every single action taken by the task force was entirely legal and by the book. He needs her signature to hand it over to the military brass. Kate, her moral compass shattered, refuses to sign, stating she will not lie for a murderer. Alejandro's demeanor instantly changes. He racks his pistol, steps forward, and forcefully presses the barrel directly under Kate's chin. He tells her that if she doesn't sign, he will kill her right now and easily stage it to look like a suicide. Terrified, broken, and crying, Kate takes the pen and signs the paper. Alejandro unloads his gun, drops the bullets on the table, and walks out the door. Enraged and humiliated, Kate grabs her own pistol and rushes out to the balcony. She aims down the sights, pointing the gun directly at Alejandro's back as he walks away through the parking lot. She has a clean shot. Alejandro stops, turns around, and looks up at her, waiting. Kate's hands shake. Despite everything he has done, she cannot bring herself to pull the trigger. She slowly lowers her weapon, letting the assassin walk free, fully realizing that the world of the cartels is a place where the law no longer exists. The